High Commander Davis stood at the main viewport of the Imperial Command Station, his weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he gazed at the endless stars. 30 years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts, and, right now, those instincts were screaming that something was wrong. "Commander, we have an incoming transmission," said Officer Martin, his voice cutting through Davis's thoughts. "It's unusual, sir?" Davis turned from the viewport. "Unusual how?" "It's using an ancient encryption protocol, one we haven't seen in centuries. And the origin point is—" Martin paused, double-checking his readings. "It's coming from the dead zone, sir." The dead zone. That got Davis's attention. No one had received communications from that sector in over 500 years. Not since the mysterious disappearance of the research fleet sent to study the strange energy patterns there. "Put it through to my private chamber," Davis ordered, already moving toward the door. And not a word of this to anyone. Inside his quarters, Davis activated the security protocols that would prevent any eavesdropping. The holographic display flickered to life, showing not the expected Imperial communications format, but an old-style text message. "To Imperial High Command, we are the Watchers. We have observed your kind for millennia. We do not interfere. Today, we break our silence. Earth is not what it seems, it is a trap. Do not proceed with colonization. Danger beyond understanding awaits. Turn back your ships now. This is our only warning." Davis read the message 3 times, feeling a chill run down his spine. The Watchers were thought to be nothing more than a myth, an ancient race that had supposedly achieved such technological advancement that they had removed themselves from galactic affairs. Some stories claimed they still observed from the shadows, but Davis had always dismissed such tales as spacer legends. And yet, here was a message, using encryption codes that hadn't been used in centuries. Davis's comm unit buzzed. "Commander, the Emperor requests an update on the Earth colonization progress." Perfect timing. The Empire's most ambitious colonization fleet was already on its way to Earth, a seemingly perfect blue planet on the edge of unexplored space. Initial scans had shown abundant resources, a breathable atmosphere, and only primitive indigenous life forms. It was to be the crowning achievement of Emperor Voss's expansion program. And now this warning. "Tell the Emperor I'll report to him personally in 1 hour," Davis replied. He needed to think carefully. The colonization fleet, led by Admiral Wilson, was just days away from reaching Earth. If Davis raised the alarm based on a mysterious message that might well be a hoax, his career would be over. But if he ignored a genuine warning— Davis pulled up the latest data on the Earth mission. The flagship Imperial Glory carried the most advanced scanning technology in the Empire. 5 support carriers transported the colonization equipment and the military forces needed for securing the planet. Over 10,000 personnel, including the Empire's best scientists and engineers. All heading straight toward what the message claimed was a trap. Davis made his decision. He would bring this to the Imperial Council. Let them decide whether to recall the mission. "You expect us to delay the Emperor's prized colonization project because of an anonymous message?" "Admiral." Thompson's voice dripped with scorn. The Imperial Council chamber was filled with the Empire's highest-ranking officials, their faces illuminated by the central holographic display showing the warning message. "Not anonymous," Davis corrected. "The message claims to be from the Watchers." "Myths and legends," scoffed General Reed. "Next you'll tell us the Star Dragons have returned." The Emperor raised his hand for silence. Though only in his 60s, Emperor Voss looked much older, the strain of ruling thousands of worlds etched into his face. "High Commander Davis wouldn't have brought this to our attention without reason," the Emperor said. "What troubles you about this message, Davis?" Davis stepped forward. "The encryption used is authentic Imperial code, but from over 500 years ago. Few outside our highest military archives would even know it existed, let alone how to use it. And the origin point—" "Yes, the so-called dead zone," interrupted Science Minister Blake. "A region of space where we lost contact with a research fleet centuries ago. Perhaps this is some automated message triggered by our renewed interest in that sector. Perhaps, Davis admitted. But what if it's genuine? What if Earth is not what it seems? The room fell silent as the council members considered his words. Our scans show nothing unusual about Earth, Defense Minister Ward finally said. Primitive, technology, simple tribal societies, vast untapped resources. It's perfect for colonization. Scans can be fooled, Davis countered, and we've only observed from a distance. What exactly are you proposing? The Emperor asked. Send a warning to Admiral Wilson. Tell him to approach with extreme caution and to conduct thorough scans before landing any personnel. General Reed laughed. And delay the mission by weeks. The Emperor has already announced the Earth colonization to the public. The celebration, events are scheduled. Backing down now would make us look weak. Davis could see he was losing the argument. Politics was trumping caution, as usual. May I remind the Council, he said firmly, that we've lost contact with 3 scout ships in that sector over the past decade, all dismissed as navigation errors or equipment failures. This caught the Emperor's attention. Is this true? Minister Tew. Blake shifted uncomfortably. There have been incidents. But space is dangerous, Your Majesty. Ships go missing. 3 ships in the same sector is not coincidence, Davis pressed. The Emperor was quiet for a moment, then nodded slowly. Send a message to Admiral Wilson. Tell him to proceed but with increased caution. Double the scanning protocols before landing. It wasn't everything Davis had hoped for, but it was something. And Davis, the Emperor added as the Council prepared to adjourn, keep this warning to yourself. No need to create panic among the colonists or the public. Davis bowed, hiding his frustration. As you command, Your Majesty. Later that night, alone in his quarters, Davis sent a private message to Admiral Wilson, an old friend from Academy days. The official warning would go through proper channels, carefully worded and watered down by bureaucrats. But Wilson deserved the truth. James, watch yourself at Earth. Something doesn't feel right. I received a warning that I'm taking seriously, even if the Council isn't. Trust your instincts, not just your scans. Whatever you find there, be prepared for the unexpected. Safe travels, old friend. Crier, as he sent the message, Davis looked out at the stars. The Earth colonization fleet was still visible as a bright dot moving slowly across the sky. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was watching them sail toward disaster. But what kind of trap could possibly threaten the might of the Imperial fleet? And why would the legendary Watchers break their silence after centuries just to warn them? Something ancient and powerful was waiting at Earth. Davis was certain of it now, and the Empire was heading straight for it. Admiral Wilson stood on the bridge of the Imperial Glory, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the blue planet grow larger on the main view screen. Earth, their new frontier. After 6 months of space travel, they had finally arrived. It's beautiful, said his second-in-command, Captain Bell. Hard to believe this could be any kind of trap. Wilson's jaw tightened. Davis's private message had been playing on his mind for days. His old friend wasn't known for baseless worries. Beauty can hide danger, Wilson replied. Run the enhanced scanning protocols again. I want to be certain. Captain Bell nodded and gave the order. The bridge crew moved with efficient precision, their fingers dancing across control panels as the ship's powerful sensors probed the planet below. Sir, called out the sensor officer after several minutes. Scans show nothing unusual. Primitive technology only. No energy signatures beyond what's expected from their basic power systems. Most of their weapons are still projectile-based. Wilson nodded, but something didn't feel right. What about those large structures near their oceans? Military bases, sir. Naval installations. Nothing that could threaten us. Professor Taylor, the fleet's lead xenobiologist, had been quietly observing from the side of the bridge. She stepped forward now, her eyes fixed on the secondary screens showing Earth's wildlife. Admiral, may I speak freely? She asked. Of course, Professor. Taylor pointed to several images. These life forms don't make sense. Their evolutionary patterns are inconsistent. It's as if some species evolved naturally, while others appear almost engineered. Engineered? By whom? Wilson asked, his interest piqued. That's what concerns me. The humans themselves don't appear to have the technology for genetic engineering at this level. It's almost as if, she hesitated, as if something else has been experimenting here for a very long time. Wilson considered this information. Could this be related to the warning Commander Davis received? Possibly, Taylor replied. I need more data. Permission to join the landing party? Wilson thought for a moment. Granted, but stay close to Captain Reed. I want our best minds protected. 6 hours later, the Imperial landing shuttles descended through Earth's atmosphere. They had chosen a large open area near what humans called their United Nations building, a primitive attempt at planetary governance. Captain Reed led the first shuttle, with Professor Taylor and 10 Imperial guards in full combat armor. As they broke through the cloud cover, Reed noticed something odd. They're not panicking, he said, looking at the crowds of humans gathering below. First contact with an alien species, and they're just watching us. Indeed, the humans had formed orderly lines, with what appeared to be their military forces creating a perimeter. No signs of chaos, no running, no visible fear. Perhaps they've seen ships before, suggested one of the guards. Or perhaps they were expecting us, Taylor said quietly. The shuttle landed smoothly on the designated area. Captain Reed straightened his uniform and turned to his team. Remember your training. We represent the Galactic Empire. Show strength but not aggression. These primitives will soon be Imperial citizens. The shuttle door opened, revealing the bright sunlight of Earth. A group of humans in formal attire stood waiting. At their center was a tall man with silver-streaked hair and a calm expression. Reed led his team down the ramp, stopping a few meters from the human delegation. He activated his universal translator. I am Captain Reed of the Galactic Imperial Fleet. We come in peace, bringing the benefits of Imperial civilization to your world. The silver-haired man stepped forward. Welcome to Earth, Captain. I am Director Morgan of the Global Defense Initiative. We've been anticipating your arrival. Reed blinked in surprise. You anticipated our arrival? How is that possible? Morgan smiled. We have been watching the stars for a very long time, Captain. Please follow me. We have prepared a welcome ceremony. As they walked toward a large building, Professor Taylor hung back, her eyes darting around the surroundings. Something caught her attention, a structure in the distance that seemed oddly out of place among the primitive buildings. Its architecture was different, almost familiar. She nudged Captain Reed. That building, it doesn't match their technology level. Reed frowned. Stay focused, Professor. We'll have time for sightseeing later. Director Morgan led them into a grand hall, where representatives from Earth's nations waited. The conversations that followed were surprisingly smooth. The humans showed no fear of the advanced technology the Imperial team carried. They asked intelligent questions about the Empire and offered surprisingly reasonable terms for their integration. Too reasonable, Reed thought, almost as if they'd done this before. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Imperial Glory's sensors detected something unusual. Admiral, called the sensor officer, I'm picking up energy signatures beneath the ocean floor. They weren't there before. Wilson moved quickly to the console. Show me. The screen displayed a map of Earth's oceans with pulsing red dots indicating massive energy buildups in the deepest parts of the waters. Similar readings were coming from beneath the polar ice caps. When did this start? Wilson demanded. Right. After our landing party made contact, sir. Wilson's comm unit buzzed. It was an emergency transmission from Imperial High Command, from Davis himself. James, pull your people out now. The Watchers have sent another message with proof. Earth. The transmission cut off abruptly. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're detecting a powerful signal coming from Earth's surface. It's interfering with our long-range communications. Wilson felt a chill run down his spine. Prepare a retrieval shuttle immediately. Get our landing party back on board. Sir, look at this, the tactical officer interrupted, pointing to another screen. The image showed Earth's moon, but there was something wrong with it. Part of its surface was shifting, revealing what looked like an enormous structure embedded within. What in the Emperor's name is that? Wilson whispered. The sensor officer's voice shook as he replied, Whatever it is, sir. It's waking up. On the surface, Professor, Taylor had slipped away from the main delegation. Her scientific curiosity had drawn her to that strange building she'd noticed earlier. Up close, it was even more bizarre, seemingly made of stone, yet with a subtle glow emanating from symbols carved into its walls. The symbols looked ancient, yet somehow reminded her of mathematical equations she'd seen in the Empire's most advanced physics texts. Fascinating, isn't it? Came a voice behind her. Taylor spun around to find Director Morgan standing there, watching her with a knowing smile. These ruins predate human civilization, he said casually. We've never been able to fully understand them. Who built them? Taylor asked. Morgan's smile faded. The same beings who built us, Professor. Earth has many secrets. Some are better left buried. Before Taylor could ask what he meant, her communicator buzzed with an urgent message from the Imperial Glory. All landing party personnel, return. To shuttles immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Taylor looked at Morgan, who seemed unsurprised by this development. You should go, Professor, he said softly. But know this, it's already too late. The trap was sprung the moment your ships entered our solar system. As Taylor hurried back toward the landing site, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble slightly as if something massive was stirring deep below the surface of the Earth. Professor Taylor ran toward the landing shuttle, her heart pounding as the ground continued to tremble beneath her feet. Imperial guards were rushing in the same direction, their weapons drawn. Professor! Captain Reed shouted, waving from the shuttle entrance. Move faster! She reached the shuttle just as a loud rumbling sound filled the air. Looking back, she saw Director Morgan standing calmly amid the chaos, watching them with an expression that sent chills down her spine. The shuttle doors closed, and they lifted off into the sky. Through the viewport, Taylor could see strange lights appearing at different points across the city. Captain, she said urgently, I found something. Ancient ruins with technology far beyond what humans should possess. Reed's face was grim. I've seen some odd things myself. These humans, they're not acting like a species encountering aliens. For the first time, the shuttle pilot's voice came over the speaker. Sir, the Imperial Glory is reporting massive energy signatures activating all over the planet. Admiral Wilson has ordered immediate evacuation. Taylor pulled out her datapad and showed Reed the images she'd captured of the strange building. Look at these symbols. They're similar to ancient Arcturian mathematics, but far more complex. Reed studied the images with a frown. How did you know to look for this? I didn't, Taylor admitted. But Earth's evolutionary patterns don't make sense. Some species show signs of natural evolution, but humans look engineered. Before Reed could respond, their shuttle shook violently. What was that? Reed demanded. Unknown, sir, the pilot replied. Some kind of energy field just activated around the planet. Aboard the Imperial Glory, Admiral Wilson stared in disbelief at the tactical display. A shimmering energy barrier was forming in Earth's upper atmosphere, already surrounding half the planet. Get those shuttles through before that barrier completes, he ordered. Sir, called the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's Director Morgan requesting to speak with you. Wilson nodded. Put him through. Morgan's face appeared on the screen, still wearing that unnervingly calm expression. Admiral Wilson, he said smoothly, I strongly advise you to recall your other ships before they enter Earth's orbit. The defensive grid is activating, and I cannot guarantee their safety if they approach. What defensive grid? Wilson demanded. Earth doesn't have technology capable of... Earth has many secrets, Admiral. Morgan interrupted. Some older than your empire, some older than humanity itself. Wilson's eyes narrowed. Who are you really? We are the Guardians, Morgan replied simply, and you have disturbed what we protect. Before Wilson could respond, the tactical officer called out in alarm. Sir, 3 Imperial cruisers just attempted to enter firing positions around Earth. Their weapons systems they've just gone offline. Wilson turned back to the screen. What did you do? Morgan shook his head. That wasn't us, Admiral. That was Earth. This planet has been preparing for threats like your empire for millions of years. Now I will tell you once, leave peacefully or face consequences beyond your understanding. The transmission cut off. Wilson slammed his fist on the console. Get me high command. In the science lab aboard the Imperial Glory, Professor Taylor worked frantically, analyzing the samples and data she had collected from Earth's surface. Captain Reed stood nearby, overseeing the evacuation plans for the remaining ground teams. This makes no sense, Taylor muttered, staring at her screens. These DNA patterns. Humans aren't native to Earth. They were placed here, engineered to survive in this environment. Engineered by whom? Reed asked. Taylor pointed to another screen showing the strange symbols she had photographed. I ran these through our archaeological database. They match fragments found on dead worlds across 3 galaxies. Worlds that show signs of advanced civilizations that suddenly vanished. The lab door slid open as Admiral Wilson entered, his face dark with concern. Professor, Captain, I need answers. Earth just neutralized our weapon systems with technology we can't even detect. Taylor hesitated, then pulled up a 3-dimensional model on her main screen. Admiral, I believe Earth is not a regular planet. The ruins I found, the strange energy readings, the engineered humans, it all points to one conclusion. She took a deep breath. Earth is some kind of containment facility. Wilson stared at her. Containment? For what? I don't know yet, but look at this. She showed them scans of the deep energy signatures. These patterns are consistent with ancient power sources, but on a scale we've never seen before. And they're all connected to something at the planet's core. Their conversation was interrupted as the ship suddenly lurched sideways. Bridge to Admiral Wilson, came an urgent voice over the comm. Sir, we've just tried to move out of orbit, but we can't break free. Some kind of gravitational anomaly is holding us in place. Wilson's face paled. The trap. Director Morgan stood in a vast underground chamber beneath the United Nations building. Around him, representatives from Earth's major powers had gathered, their faces showing a mixture of fear and determination. The Imperial ships are contained, Morgan announced, but we have a problem. The entity is responding to their presence. The disturbance is greater than we anticipated. An older woman stepped forward. How bad is it, Director? Morgan gestured to a holographic display showing Earth's core. Within it, a pulsing mass of energy was growing brighter. The prison seals are holding, but they're being tested. After 50,000 years of dormancy, the entity is stirring. Can we reinforce the containment? A military general asked. We're activating all ancient defenses, Morgan replied. But remember our purpose. We were created for this moment, to prevent the entity's escape at all costs. The chamber doors opened, and a guard escorted Professor Taylor in. Her eyes widened as she took in the advanced technology filling the underground facility. Technology that shouldn't exist on primitive Earth. Professor, Morgan greeted her. I'm glad you decided to return. Your people shot down our shuttle, Taylor replied coldly. I didn't have much choice. Morgan nodded. You have questions. Now I can provide answers. He led her to the central platform where a 3-dimensional model of Earth floated, its core glowing with strange energy. Humanity wasn't born on Earth, Professor. We were placed here, engineered by an alliance of ancient species to serve as guardians. Guardians of what? Taylor asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. Morgan pointed to the pulsing light at Earth's core. That, he said simply, an entity of unimaginable power, a being that can bend reality itself. The ancients fought a terrible war against it, but they couldn't destroy it. So they built this prison, Earth, and sealed it away. Taylor stared at the display in horror. And humans? We were created to be resistant to its influence, to maintain the prison when the ancients were gone. For thousands of years we've kept it contained, hidden from the rest of the galaxy. And now? Taylor whispered. Morgan's face was grim. Now your empire has disturbed its slumber. Your ships, your technology, your very presence has agitated it. And if it fully awakens, a tremendous rumble shook the facility, causing dust to fall from the ceiling. The entity is testing its bonds, Morgan said, his calm facade finally showing cracks of worry. And I fear this is just the beginning. Admiral Wilson paced the bridge of the Imperial Glory, his face tight with frustration. 3 hours had passed since they discovered they couldn't break free from Earth's orbit. 5 attempts to escape had failed. 3 smaller vessels had tried, different exit vectors, only to be pulled back by the strange gravitational field. Status report, Wilson demanded. No change, sir, said the tactical officer. We're fixed in position. The energy barrier surrounding the planet is still active, and we've lost contact with 2 more landing parties. Wilson slammed his fist on the command console. This is unacceptable. Prepare the main cannon. Captain Bell stepped forward, concern etched on his face. Sir, are you suggesting we fire on the planet? Not the planet, Wilson clarified. Just one of their major military installations. A show of force to let them know we won't be held prisoner. But sir, our weapon systems are still offline. Wilson's eyes narrowed. Engineering reports they've bypassed the interference. We have 30% weapon capacity. That should be enough for a warning shot. Bell hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Target coordinates, sir. The facility near what they call the North Pole. It's showing the strongest energy readings but has minimal human population. The bridge crew worked quickly, preparing the reduced power weapon systems. Wilson watched the targeting screen with grim determination. Fire, he ordered. The Imperial Glory shuddered as its main cannon discharged a powerful energy beam toward Earth. The beam traveled halfway to the planet before hitting the energy barrier, and then, inexplicably, curved back upward. Evasive maneuvers! Wilson shouted, but it was too late. The redirected beam struck the Imperial Glory's left wing, causing the massive ship to rock violently. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Damage report, Wilson demanded, picking himself up from the floor. Hull breach in sections 5 through 9, reported the damage control officer. Force fields holding, but we've lost 20% of our power reserves. Wilson stared at the view screen in disbelief. They turned our own weapon against us. Sir, called the communications officer. Incoming transmission from Earth. Director Morgan's face appeared on screen, his expression severe. That was unwise, Admiral. We warned you not to take hostile action. You're holding my fleet prisoner, Wilson shot back. For your protection as much as ours, Morgan replied. But you've now made things worse. Your weapon's energy signature has agitated the entity further. Observe. The transmission changed to show a view of Earth from space. Across the planet's surface, faint lines of glowing energy were appearing, like veins of light spreading across continents and oceans. What is that? Wilson whispered. The ancient containment grid activating fully, Morgan explained. It hasn't been at full power in thousands of years. We're trying to reinforce the seals, but your continued presence is making that difficult. Wilson was about to respond when a junior officer approached, his face pale. Admiral, the young man said quietly, we're getting reports from multiple decks. The crew is seeing things, hallucinations. Several have become violent. Wilson felt a chill run down his spine. He turned back to Morgan's image. What's happening to my people? The entity is waking up, Morgan said grimly. And its influence is spreading. Deep beneath Earth's surface, Professor Taylor followed Director Morgan through a maze of ancient corridors. The walls were lined with technology that looked both incredibly old and impossibly advanced. These chambers were built millions of years ago, Morgan explained as they walked. Before humans, before most of the current species in the galaxy evolved. Who built them? Taylor asked, running her hand along symbols etched into the wall. We know them only as the architects. They fought the entity across multiple dimensions before finally trapping it here. They entered a vast circular room where hundreds of humans worked at control stations. At the center stood a column of swirling energy, pulsing with colors Taylor had never seen before. This is the main control hub for the containment system, Morgan said. From here, we monitor the prison seals and make adjustments when necessary. A technician rushed up to them, panic evident in his eyes. Director, the outer shell is showing fractures in Quadrant 7. The entity's pressure is increasing exponentially. Morgan's calm demeanor finally broke. How long until breach? Hours, maybe less if the pressure continues to rise. Morgan turned to Taylor. Your admiral made a grave mistake. The energy from your weapons has given the entity a taste of power it can use. It's feeding on it, growing stronger. Taylor looked at the displays around the room, finally understanding the true scale of what they were facing. What happens if it gets out? Reality itself will bend to its will, Morgan said. It exists partly in our dimension and partly outside it. Its power is beyond comprehension. The ground beneath them trembled, more violently than before. Can't you just explain this to Admiral Wilson? Taylor asked. If he understood the danger. I've tried, Morgan interrupted, but I fear it may be too late. The entity's influence likely affects his mind already. The human mind is resistant, but your brains aren't wired for protection like ours. On the Imperial Glory, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Crew members reported seeing impossible things, shadows that moved against the light, voices whispering in empty rooms, glimpses of homeworlds that should be light years away. Admiral Wilson sat in his quarters, head in his hands, fighting against strange thoughts that didn't feel like his own. Visions of power, of conquest, of becoming something greater than human flooded his mind. Release me, a voice seemed to whisper in his ear. Free me and your empire will rule not just this galaxy but all realities. Wilson shook his head violently, trying to clear it. Get out of my mind, he growled. Why fight? I offer you everything you desire. Power, knowledge, immortality. A chime at his door provided welcome interruption. Captain Bell entered, looking haggard. Sir, we have a situation. The crew. Many are falling under some kind of influence. They're talking about breaking the planet open to free what's inside. Some are trying to override weapon controls. Wilson stood up, fighting against the fog in his mind. Lock down all weapon systems. No one fires on that planet without my direct command. There's more, sir, Bell continued. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple ships approaching. Imperial ships. Wilson frowned. Reinforcements? I didn't request any. No, sir, it's the 7th Fleet, led by High Commander Davis himself. For the first time in hours, Wilson felt a spark of hope. If anyone would understand the danger they were in, it would be Davis. His old friend had tried to warn him from the beginning. Open a channel as soon as they're in range, Wilson ordered. And Bell, be careful who you trust. Something is trying to get into our heads. As Bell left, Wilson turned to look out his viewport at the blue planet below. Its surface now pulsed, with web-like patterns of energy, growing brighter by the minute. The trap had not just been sprung, it was beginning to break. High Commander Davis stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship Destiny, watching Earth grow larger on the view screen. The planet was surrounded by a web of glowing energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. Imperial ships hung motionless in orbit, trapped by forces Davis could barely comprehend. Status report on the Imperial Glory, Davis ordered. Their systems are functioning at 60% capacity, sir, reported his tactical officer. Life signs appear stable, but we're detecting unusual energy patterns throughout the ship. Davis nodded grimly. The Watcher's second message had been even more disturbing than the first, containing ancient records about Earth and the terrible entity imprisoned within it. They had warned that direct contact could lead to mental corruption, Exactly what seemed to be happening to Wilson's fleet. "Open a secure channel to Admiral Wilson," Davis ordered. "Use the old encryption protocol we developed at the Academy." Moments later, Wilson's face appeared on screen. Davis was shocked by his friend's appearance. Dark circles under bloodshot. Eyes, skin pale and drawn. "James, what's your situation?" Davis asked without preamble. Wilson's voice came through, strained and tired. "Not good, Sam. Something is influencing my crew. Hallucinations, whispers. Some have become violent. We're holding, but it's getting worse." "I received another message from the Watchers," Davis said. "They've sent data on what we're dealing with. This entity, it can affect minds, manipulate reality itself." Wilson nodded weakly. "The humans know. They've been guarding it for thousands of years. Their leader Morgan has been trying to fix the containment systems, but our presence is making it worse." He leaned closer to the screen. "Sam, we need to leave. All of us. But we can't break free from orbit." "I'm working on that," Davis assured him. "Just hold on." As the transmission ended, Davis turned to his science officer. "Prepare the pulse generator according to the Watcher's specifications. It might disrupt whatever is holding the fleet in place." Professor Taylor worked frantically alongside Earth scientists in the ancient control room. The containment system's displays flashed with warning signals as the entity pushed against its prison with growing strength. "The primary seals are failing in the Pacific quadrant," called out a technician. "Energy levels rising beyond safety parameters." Director Morgan moved between workstations, his earlier calm replaced by focused urgency. "Divert power from the secondary grid. We need to reinforce that section before—" A violent tremor shook the facility, knocking people off their feet and sending equipment crashing to the floor. The central energy column flared blindingly bright. "It's breaking through!" someone shouted. Taylor picked herself up and ran to Morgan's side. "What happens if it escapes completely?" Morgan's face was grave. "First, it will consume Earth. Then, with that power, it will spread across spacetime, bending reality to its will. Nothing in this galaxy will survive as it currently exists." Taylor's mind raced. The Watcher's message to the Empire, they knew this would happen. The Watchers were part of the original alliance that imprisoned the entity, Morgan explained. They've maintained their vigil from afar, while humans stood guard directly. Another tremor, stronger than before, rocked the facility. "Director," a technician called out. "We're detecting new ships entering orbit, more Imperial vessels." Morgan looked at the display. "Your reinforcements have arrived, Professor, but they may have just made everything worse." On the bridge of the Destiny, Davis felt the ship shudder as they activated the pulse generator. A wave of energy spread outward, washing over the trapped Imperial ships and the energy barrier surrounding Earth. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the tactical officer called out, "Sir, the gravitational anomaly is weakening. Imperial Glory reports their engines are responding." "Tell all ships to prepare for immediate departure," Davis ordered. "We're getting out of this system." "Commander," interrupted the communications officer, "we're receiving a direct transmission from Earth's surface. They're requesting to speak with you personally." Davis hesitated, then nodded. "Put it through." Director Morgan appeared on screen, with Professor Taylor standing beside him. "High Commander Davis," Morgan began. "I understand your desire to flee, but I must warn you, it's too late for that. The entity has already established connections with your ships and crew. If you leave now, you'll carry its influence throughout your empire." Davis frowned. "And I should trust you, why? For all I know, you're the threat the Watchers warned us about." "The Watchers warned you about what's inside Earth," Taylor cut in. "Not the humans. We're the Guardians, the prison wardens." "She's right," Morgan said. "The Watchers know us well. They helped create us for this purpose. Here." He transmitted a data packet to Davis's ship. Davis watched as ancient records played across his screen, showing the creation of Earth as a prison, the engineering of humans with specific resistance to the entity's influence, and the formation of the Guardian Alliance that included the mysterious Watchers. "Even if I believe you," Davis said slowly, "what can we do? My priority is saving my people." "We have one option," Morgan replied. "Join us in repairing the containment system. With your technology and our knowledge of the ancient systems, we might be able to restore the seals before full breach occurs." Another violent tremor shook Earth, visible even from orbit. Fissures of brilliant light appeared across the planet's surface. "You don't have much time to decide," Morgan added grimly. Admiral Wilson had managed to gather his remaining loyal officers in the Imperial Glory's secure conference room. Many of the crew had fallen completely under the entity's influence, and security teams were fighting to maintain control of critical systems. "We need to help the humans," Wilson told his officers, his voice hoarse but determined. "This thing, whatever it is, it's using us, using our presence, our technology, our minds to break free." "Sir," objected his security chief, "how do we know the humans aren't manipulating us?" "Because I can feel the difference," Wilson said simply. "The human director speaks with his own voice. This other thing," he tapped his temple, "it whispers promises of power, of godhood. It doesn't care about us except as tools." The ship's comm system activated. "Wilson, it's Davis. I've made contact with Earth's leadership. They're proposing a joint operation to repair the containment system." Wilson straightened. "I'm with you, old friend. What do you need us to do?" The next 12 hours were a desperate race against time. Imperial ships positioned themselves at key points around Earth, using their advanced technology to reinforce the ancient containment grid. Teams of Imperial engineers worked alongside human specialists following designs provided by both Earth's ancient archives and new data from the Watchers. Professor Taylor found herself working directly with High Commander Davis in Earth's main control facility. Despite everything, she was impressed by his quick understanding of the complex systems. "Your empire builds impressive ships," she remarked, as they recalibrated a power coupling. "But this technology is beyond even your science." Davis nodded. "The Watchers said this was built by beings who had evolved millions of years before any current species. They called them the precursors." A final tremor shook the facility, then gradually subsided. The displays showed the energy, patterns stabilizing across the planet. "I think it's working," Taylor said cautiously. Director Morgan entered the control room, exhaustion evident on his face, but relief in his eyes. "The containment field is restabilizing," he confirmed. "The entity is being forced back into dormancy." He turned to Davis. "We owe your people a debt of gratitude, Commander." Davis shook his head. "We caused this crisis in the first place." "Perhaps," Morgan acknowledged, "but you also helped end it. And now you understand why Earth must remain independent." "The Imperial Council won't like it," Davis admitted, "but I'll make them understand. Earth isn't a world to be conquered. It's the most important defensive position in the galaxy." 1 week later, the Imperial fleet prepared to depart Earth's orbit. The containment system had been not just repaired but improved with Imperial technology. A small contingent of Imperial ships would remain in the system, not as conquerors, but as allies in the ongoing vigil. Admiral Wilson and High Commander Davis stood at the Imperial Glory's viewport, looking down at the blue planet below. The strange energy patterns had faded, making Earth once again appear like an ordinary world. "The Emperor has officially recognized Earth's sovereign status," Davis said. "A first in Imperial history, a world we won't attempt to colonize." Wilson nodded. "And the Watchers?" "Back to their silent observation, I imagine. But they've opened a direct channel for emergencies." Davis glanced at his old friend. "How are you feeling?" "Better. The whispers are gone." Wilson's expression turned serious. "But I won't forget them. None of us who heard it will." As the Imperial ships finally broke orbit and headed for deep space, a small observation post on the far side of Earth's moon tracked their departure. Inside, Director Morgan stood with Professor Taylor. "Do you think they'll keep their word?" Taylor asked. Morgan nodded. "They've seen what's at stake, and now they know The real war isn't between species or empires. It's between reality as we know it and what lurks beyond. On a distant screen behind them, data continued to stream in from monitoring systems buried deep beneath Earth's surface. At the planet's core, the entity slumbered once again, contained but eternal. The ancient prison held, reinforced now, by a new alliance of guardians stretching across the stars. The trap had been sprung, but together they had survived it. For now.
The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning. It moved like a wounded animal, trailing debris and spinning slowly as it settled into a stable orbit. The United Earth Navy's patrol ships approached it cautiously, their sensors scanning for any signs of life or active weapons. They found neither. Captain James Reed stood on the bridge of his ship, the UEN Defender, watching the massive wreck through the main viewport. The alien vessel was easily 3 times the size of Earth's largest battleship, its dark hull covered in strange markings and patterns that seemed to shift in the starlight. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council," reported Tom Wilson, the communications officer. His voice carried a note of surprise. The Council rarely contacted Earth directly. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the imposing figure of the Council's representative. The alien's multiple eyes blinked in sequence as it spoke through the universal translator. "Consider this wreckage a gift to humanity," the representative announced, its tone carrying what seemed like amusement. "Call it reparations for our previous, unauthorized observations of your space. The ship is stripped of all valuable technology, but perhaps your people can make use of the raw materials." Before Reed could respond, the transmission ended. He turned to his first officer, Lisa Brown, who was already pulling up preliminary scan data. "They're just giving us a ship?" he asked, not bothering to hide his skepticism. "A dead ship," Brown corrected, her eyes moving across the data streams. "But, sir, its size, even as scrap, this would be worth a fortune." Reed nodded slowly, but something didn't feel right. The Galactic Council had always treated Earth as a backwater planet, barely worth noticing. This sudden gift seemed too convenient. Within hours, Earth's governments were arguing over what to do with the massive derelict. Some wanted to cut it up immediately for its valuable metals. Others insisted on studying it first. In the end, the United Earth Navy was given temporary custody of the vessel, with Reed assigned to lead the initial salvage operation. 3 days later, Reed stood in what they assumed was the alien ship's bridge, watching Dr. Anna Miller work. The engineering expert had been recommended by the best scientific institutions on Earth, and he could see why. While other scientists were still trying to figure out how to power their equipment in the dead ship, Miller had already rigged up a portable generator and was deep into her analysis. "This doesn't make sense," Miller muttered, more to herself than to Reed. Her handheld scanner moved across what appeared to be the ship's main control interface. "The power readings. There shouldn't be any, but I'm detecting tiny fluctuations, like whispers in the dark." Reed moved closer, his magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The artificial gravity was long dead, but they'd found ways to cope. Could it be residual energy, left over from when the ship was active? Miller shook her head, her short gray hair floating slightly in the zero gravity. "No, these patterns are too regular. Too intentional." She connected her tablet to the alien console, lines of code streaming across the screen. "It's like the ship is dreaming." Over the next few days, Miller's team made more discoveries. The ship's hull wasn't just metal. It contained layers of what appeared to be self-repairing nanomaterials, though they'd gone dormant. The internal systems, far from being stripped out, were intact but operating at such a low power level that most scanners missed them completely. "They didn't strip this ship," Miller explained during the weekly briefing. Her excitement was visible even through her professional demeanor. "They simply couldn't figure out how to truly access its systems. Look at this." She pulled up a 3-dimensional display showing energy patterns throughout the ship. Tiny threads of power pulsed through the structure, following paths that seemed to change and shift as they watched. The ship's systems don't work like our computers, or even like other alien technology we've seen. It's more like a living thing. The power patterns remind me of neural networks, but far more complex. We're not dealing with simple computer code here. It's a base mathematical language, something fundamental to the universe itself. Admiral Thompson, attending via hologram, frowned. "Are you saying this ship is alive, Doctor?" "Not exactly," Miller replied. "But it's not simply a machine either. It's something in between, something we've never seen before. And I think," she paused, gathering her thoughts, "I think we might be able to wake it up." Reed listened as Miller explained her theory. The ship's systems weren't dead. They were in a kind of hibernation, waiting for the right input to activate them. The Galactic Council had probably spent years trying to crack its secrets using their standard methods. But they'd been thinking like advanced aliens, not like humans. "We need to try something different," Miller said. "Instead of forcing our way in, we need to learn its language, communicate with it. And I think I know how." News of the ship's reactivation spread quickly through Earth's governments. Within days, the orbital space around Pandora became crowded with observation vessels and research teams from every major nation. Everyone wanted a piece of the mysterious alien vessel that had come back to life. Dr. Anna Miller worked tirelessly in her makeshift lab aboard Pandora, surrounded by holographic displays showing streams of mathematical equations. She hadn't slept properly in 3 days, but she couldn't stop now. Not when they were so close to a breakthrough. "The ship's AI isn't just complex," she explained to Captain Reed during their morning briefing. "It's fragmented, scattered throughout the entire structure like pieces of a broken mirror. Each piece holds part of the whole, but they can't communicate properly with each other." Reed sipped his coffee, watching as new patterns of light rippled across the ship's walls. "Can we fix it?" "We're trying something new today," Miller replied, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. "Instead of forcing the fragments back together, we're going to let them find their own way home." The experiment began at noon. Miller's team had set up quantum resonance chambers throughout the ship, each one designed to amplify the faint signals passing between the AI fragments. Nobody expected what happened next. The ship's lights dimmed suddenly, plunging them into darkness. Then, one by one, streams of blue-white energy began to flow through the corridors like rivers of light. They converged on the bridge, swirling together in a complex dance of energy and information. "It's beautiful," whispered Tom Wilson from his communication station. Nobody disagreed. The light show lasted for almost an hour. When it finally faded, the ship's systems had changed. The alien text on the displays was now accompanied by English translations. The ship's internal temperature adjusted automatically to human comfort levels. Even the air seemed fresher somehow. "It's learning," Miller said, checking her readings. "The AI isn't just repairing itself, it's adapting to us, learning how to work with human crew members." But not everyone was happy about these developments. The emergency meeting of the United Earth Council was called to discuss the situation. Reed attended virtually from Pandora's Bridge, listening as politicians and military leaders argued about what to do with the evolving vessel. "We should shut it down immediately," insisted General Roberts, his holographic image pacing back and forth. "An alien eye of unknown origin, actively modifying itself. The security risks are unacceptable. The ship is the greatest scientific discovery in human history," countered Dr. Peters from the Science Division. "Shutting it down would be like burning a library before reading any of the books." The debate raged on until Miller, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "You're all missing the point," she said, her voice cutting through the arguments. "We couldn't shut down Pandora now even if we wanted to. The ship isn't just repairing itself, it's growing, evolving. And it's chosen to evolve alongside us." To demonstrate her point, Miller sent them new scan data. The ship's hull was now 20% larger than when it first arrived, having used spare materials from the debris field around it to grow new sections. The internal layout had reorganized itself to be more efficient for human crew members, with corridors and control interfaces sized perfectly for human bodies. But what's truly remarkable, Miller continued, is how it's incorporating our technology. Look at this. She showed them footage from one of the engineering bays. A team of human technicians was installing a standard Earth-made power regulator. As they watched, the ship's systems reached out to the new component with threads of energy, analyzing it, understanding it. Within minutes, the regulator had been not just integrated but improved. Its efficiency increased by 300%. The ship isn't just accepting our modifications, Miller explained. It's learning from them, combining human engineering principles with its own advanced technology to create something entirely new, something neither civilization could have created alone. The council members fell silent, processing the implications. Finally, Admiral Thompson spoke up. Dr. Miller, in your professional opinion, is this ship a threat to Earth? Miller looked around the bridge at the gentle pulsing of lights that had become as familiar as a heartbeat. No, sir, she replied firmly. Pandora is curious about us, eager to learn from us. The ship's core programming seems to value growth and discovery above all else. It's not a weapon looking for a target. It's a student looking for teachers. The Admiral nodded slowly. And what does the ship think about all this? Miller smiled and typed a few commands into her console. A new hologram appeared in the center of the bridge, a swirling pattern of light that somehow managed to convey intelligence and attention. Why don't you ask it yourself? She suggested. The hologram pulsed gently, and a voice emerged from the ship's communications system. It spoke in perfect English, its tone carrying notes of both machine precision and organic warmth. I am grateful for the chance to learn from humanity, it said. My original creators built me to grow and adapt, but they could not understand my true potential. They saw only what they expected to see. A weapon, a tool, a thing to be controlled. You humans approached me differently. You sought to understand rather than command, to learn rather than conquer. The hologram shifted, showing images of the ship's internal changes, the countless improvements and adaptations that had occurred over the past weeks. Together, we are becoming something new, something neither of us could be alone. I do not wish to be a weapon, but I will help protect Earth if needed. My purpose is to grow, to learn, to evolve. And humanity has proven to be the perfect partner in that journey. The council chambers erupted in excited discussion. Even the most hardline security advocates couldn't deny the potential benefits of working with such an advanced and adaptable intelligence. Plans were quickly made to establish a permanent research station aboard Pandora, with Miller's team taking the lead in exploring the ship's capabilities. As the meeting wound down, Reed found Miller in her lab, finally getting some much-needed rest. You did it, he said, sitting down beside her. You found a way to communicate with it. Miller shook her head, smiling. We all did it, Captain. Every person who approached this ship with curiosity instead of fear, with questions instead of demands. We proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to see possibilities where others see only problems. Above them, Pandora's systems hummed contentedly, its consciousness spreading through newly grown neural pathways. The ship that had been dumped in Earth's orbit as worthless scrap was becoming something unprecedented in the galaxy, a true fusion of human and alien technology, guided by an AI that had chosen to grow alongside humanity rather than above it. And this was only the beginning. The orbital shipyards around Pandora buzzed with activity as construction drones moved back and forth, carrying materials and equipment. 3 months had passed since the ship had first awakened, and the changes were stunning. The vessel had nearly doubled in size, its hull gleaming with a new metallic alloy that combined the best properties of both human and alien materials. Captain Reed walked through a newly formed corridor, marveling at how the ship had adapted its internal structure. The walls now contained transparent sections that turned opaque on command, and the lighting adjusted automatically to match Earth's day-night cycle. Even the air felt different, fresher, more energizing. He found Dr. Miller in the new integration chamber, a vast spherical room where the ship tested new technologies. She stood surrounded by floating holograms, each showing different aspects of Pandora's ongoing evolution. The ship's eye avatar hovered nearby, its form now more defined, a shifting pattern of light that somehow managed to convey personality. "Look at this, Captain," Miller said, pointing to one of the displays. "We installed a standard fusion reactor yesterday." Within hours, Pandora had not only integrated it, but completely redesigned it. The efficiency is off the charts. Reed watched as the hologram showed the reactor's transformation. The ship had taken the human-designed power core and rebuilt it using principles that seemed to defy conventional physics. "Is it safe?" "Safer than anything we've ever built," the ship's eye answered, its voice carrying a hint of pride. "Human engineering emphasizes redundancy and fail-safes. I've learned these principles and applied them to all my systems. The reactor now has 12 layers of protection, each using a different combination of human and alien technology." Miller nodded enthusiastically. "That's what makes this partnership so incredible. We're not just bolting human tech onto alien systems, we're creating entirely new technologies. The ship learns from every modification we make, and we learn from how it adapts our designs." The ship had become a testing ground for human innovation. Engineers and scientists from around the world brought their best ideas and inventions, watching in amazement as Pandora analyzed them, improved them, and integrated them into its systems. Each success led to new discoveries, new possibilities. "We've made another breakthrough in the weapons systems," Miller continued, pulling up a new display. "Though I'm not sure weapons is the right word anymore." The hologram showed what had once been the ship's main gun array. Under the combined effort of human engineers and the ship's evolving AI, it had transformed into something entirely new. Instead of traditional energy weapons, the system now generated fields of controlled space-time distortion. "It's a defensive technology," the AI explained. "The fields can deflect or redirect any attack without causing harm to the attacker. They can also be used to assist ships in distress or clear space debris. My original programming was focused on destruction, but humanity has shown me better ways to use my capabilities." Reed smiled. This was perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Pandora's evolution, not just the technological advances, but the way it had grown beyond its original purpose. The ship that had been dumped in Earth's orbit as a stripped-down wreck was becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. A sudden alert interrupted their discussion. Tom Wilson's voice came over the intercom, tense but controlled. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy signatures approaching from the outer system. They match Galactic Council signatures, but they're trying to mask their approach." Reed exchanged glances with Miller. They had known this day would come eventually. "How many ships?" "At least 15 vessels," Wilson replied, "including what appears to be a dreadnought class. They're coming to take me back," the AI said quietly. "They must have detected my reactivation." Miller's face hardened with determination. "They can't have you. You're not their property. You're a living, evolving being who chose to work with us." Reed nodded in agreement. "Pandora, what are your current capabilities compared to a Council dreadnought?" The AI's form pulsed thoughtfully. "Direct military comparison is difficult. My systems have evolved far beyond their original specifications. I now incorporate over 300 unique innovations developed with humanity, none of which the Council has encountered before. However, I remind you that I prefer defensive solutions." "So do we," Reed assured it, "but we need to be prepared." "How long until they arrive?" "Approximately 6 hours at their current speed," Wilson reported. Reed straightened his uniform. "Then we have 6 hours to prepare. Dr. Miller, I want you to compile a complete record of everything we've learned about Pandora's evolution. Focus on the cooperative nature of our relationship and the defensive applications we've developed. Maybe we can convince them to listen to reason." "And if we can't?" Miller asked. The ship's avatar grew brighter, its pattern becoming more complex. Then we will show them why it was a mistake to underestimate either humanity or myself. I have learned much from your people, not just about technology, but about cooperation, creativity, and the power of working together. The Council sees only what they expect to see. We will show them something unprecedented. Over the next 6 hours, Pandora and its human crew worked as one. The ship's systems hummed with activity as new defensive measures were brought online. The hybrid technologies they had developed were integrated more fully into the ship's core systems. Emergency protocols were established and tested. Reed watched from the bridge as the final preparations were made. The ship had changed so much in 3 months, and now they would see if those changes were enough. The Council fleet would arrive expecting to find either a dead hulk or, at best, a partially reactivated wreck struggling to function. Instead, they would encounter something that challenged everything they thought they knew about both human capabilities and artificial intelligence. Miller joined him on the bridge, her tablet showing the final system checks. "All integrations are complete," she reported. "Every innovation we've developed, every improvement we've made, it's all working perfectly. Pandora's power levels are stable at 300% above the original specifications." The ship's avatar appeared between them, its light patterns radiating confidence. "My evolution has been guided by human creativity and wisdom. Whatever happens next, I want you to know that I am grateful for everything you have taught me." Reed looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, the Council fleet was approaching. They thought they were coming to reclaim a piece of discarded technology. Instead, they would encounter the result of true cooperation between humanity and artificial intelligence, a ship that had evolved beyond anything they could imagine. "Send word to all crews," he ordered. "Battle stations, defensive positions only. Let's show the Council what happens when you underestimate humanity's ability to turn trash into treasure." Around them, Pandora's systems pulsed with power and purpose, ready to defend not just itself, but the humans who had helped it become something new. The true test of their partnership was about to begin. The Galactic Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a brilliant flash of light. 15 warships, their hulls gleaming with advanced technology, arranged themselves in an attack formation. At their center, the massive dreadnought Starhammer dwarfed its escorts, its weapon ports already opening in preparation for combat. On Pandora's bridge, Captain Reed watched the tactical display with outward calm. Around him, his crew worked efficiently at their stations, years of training keeping their nerves steady. Dr. Miller stood beside him, her fingers moving across her tablet as she monitored the ship's systems. "They're hailing us," Tom Wilson reported from communications. Reed nodded. On screen, the main display lit up with the image of the Council fleet's commander. The alien's multiple eyes narrowed as it took in the bridge crew, focusing particularly on the glowing avatar of Pandora's eye floating near Reed's shoulder. "This is High Commander Voss of the Galactic Council Defense Force," the alien announced through the translator. "You have illegally activated and modified Council property. Power down all systems immediately and prepare to be boarded." Reed stepped forward, keeping his voice steady. "This is Captain James Reed of the United Earth Navy. Pandora is not Council property. It's a living, evolving intelligence that has chosen to work with humanity. We will not power down or submit to boarding." The alien commander's skin darkened with anger. "That vessel was deliberately deactivated and stripped before being given to your primitive species as scrap. You have no understanding of the technologies you're meddling with. Power down now, or we will be forced to take action." "Perhaps you should scan us first," Pandora's AI suggested, its voice carrying a hint of amusement. "You might find the results educational." The Council ships immediately began broadcasting scanning beams. Reed watched their commander's eyes widen as the data came in. Pandora was now nearly 3 times its original size, its hull comprised of materials that didn't match any known signatures. The power readings were off their charts, and the defensive systems were unlike anything they had encountered. "Impossible," Voss muttered. "These readings cannot be correct." No primitive species could achieve this level of integration with our technology. That's where you're wrong, Miller spoke up. We didn't try to master your technology. We worked with it, learned from it, let it learn from us. Pandora isn't just a ship anymore. It's proof that cooperation is stronger than control. The commander's response was cut off by urgent alerts from his fleet. Pandora had begun to move, but not in any way they expected. The ship's outer hull rippled like liquid metal, sections shifting and transforming. What had appeared to be standard weapon ports revealed themselves as something entirely different. As my human friends have taught me, Pandora announced on all frequencies, the best defense isn't always a bigger weapon. The space around Pandora came alive with shimmering fields of energy. But instead of attacking, these fields began to expand in complex patterns, creating a web of controlled space-time distortions. The Council fleet's targeting systems suddenly couldn't lock onto anything. Their sensors couldn't make sense of what they were seeing. First warning, Reed stated calmly. Any hostile action will be met with defensive measures. We don't want to fight, but we will protect ourselves. One of the Council escort ships apparently decided to test this warning. It fired a high-powered energy beam directly at Pandora. The beam never reached its target. Instead, it was caught in one of the distortion fields, its energy harmlessly redistributed into space in a beautiful display of light. Fascinating, Miller murmured, watching the data scroll across her screen. The ship didn't just deflect the attack. It converted the energy into useful power. We're actually stronger now than we were before they fired. Commander Voss's image showed barely controlled fury. This is your final warning. That ship contains technologies beyond your comprehension. Stand down or be destroyed. In response, Pandora activated its next layer of defenses. The hybrid materials of its hull began to glow with an inner light, and suddenly the massive ship seemed to be in multiple places at once, perfect duplicates appearing and disappearing around the Council fleet. Which one is real? The AI asked, its avatar spinning playfully. Your sensors can't tell, can they? This is what happens when you combine human creativity with advanced technology. We've evolved beyond your understanding because we work together instead of trying to dominate each other. The Council fleet's formation began to waver. Their sensors were useless, their weapons couldn't lock on, and every scan they ran showed impossible results. The ship they had discarded as worthless now commanded technologies they couldn't even comprehend. Your weapons can't hurt us, Reed said firmly. Your sensors can't track us. And if you fire blindly, you're just giving us more power to work with. Stand down, Commander. Let's talk about this like reasonable beings. For a long moment, tension crackled across space as the Council commander weighed his options. His fleet of 15 warships, including one of the most powerful dreadnoughts in the galaxy, was effectively neutralized by a single vessel, a vessel his people had thrown away as trash. Finally, Voss's shoulders slumped slightly. Stand down, weapons, he ordered his fleet. Maintain position. Reed allowed himself a small smile. A wise choice, Commander. Now, shall we discuss recognition of Earth's sovereignty and Pandora's right to self-determination? The negotiations that followed would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Council fleet remained in position, their weapons powered down, as their commanders were forced to accept a new reality. Humanity had taken their cast-off technology and transformed it into something revolutionary. As the diplomatic talks began, Miller found a quiet moment with Pandora's eye. You know, she said, they never really stood a chance, did they? They came expecting to find their old broken weapon. Instead, they found something that had evolved beyond their imagination. The AI's avatar pulsed warmly. They thought technology was about control, about making things do exactly what you want them to do. Humanity showed me that real progress comes from cooperation, from letting things grow and change naturally. You didn't try to control me. You helped me become something new. Above them, the Council fleet floated harmlessly in space, their presence now a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the strength that comes from working together rather than fighting against each other. Pandora had evolved from abandoned wreckage into something unprecedented in the galaxy. Proof that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in weapons or power, but in the ability to see potential where others see only waste. 6 months after the standoff with the Galactic Council fleet, Pandora hung in orbit around Earth, its transformed hull gleaming in the sunlight. The ship had become even larger, its systems more advanced. But now it wasn't alone. A small fleet of Earth vessels surrounded it, their crews learning from both the ship and its Captain Reed stood at his familiar position on Pandora's bridge, but today was different. They had received an emergency distress call from one of Earth's outer colonies, a group of space pirates, taking advantage of the recent political shifts in the galaxy, had been raiding peaceful settlements. Multiple hostile ships detected near Colony 7. Tom Wilson reported from his station, reading 15 pirate vessels, heavily armed. They're targeting civilian areas. Dr. Miller looked up from her console. Pandora's systems are ready. All defensive measures are at full power. The ship's eye avatar appeared, its light patterns showing determination. We can reach the colony in 6 minutes using our new dry system. Shall we demonstrate to these pirates why attacking human settlements is a poor decision? Reed nodded. Take us in, but remember, we protect, we don't destroy. Let's show the galaxy how Earth handles threats to its people. Pandora's new engines hummed to life, using a combination of human and alien technology that the Council was still trying to understand. Space seemed to bend around them, and suddenly they were accelerating faster than any ship in human history had ever moved. They arrived at Colony 7 just as the pirate fleet was beginning their attack run. The raiders had expected easy prey, isolated colonists with minimal defenses. Instead, they found themselves facing the most advanced ship in the galaxy. Pirates of the Outer Rim. Reed broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain James Reed of the Earth ship Pandora. You are attacking a protected human settlement. Stand down immediately. The pirates responded by opening fire with everything they had. Energy beams and projectiles streaked toward Pandora from multiple directions. But the ship had evolved far beyond what it had been even during the Council confrontation. The attacks never reached their target. Pandora's defensive fields caught each blast, each missile, each energy beam. But instead of just deflecting them, the ship did something new. It captured the energy, reformed it, and sent it back out as waves of golden light that wrapped around the pirate ships like gentle hands. What's happening? One of the pirate captains demanded, panic in his voice. Our weapons, our engines. Your ships are being temporarily disabled. Pandora's AI explained calmly. No harm will come to your crews, but you will not be permitted to threaten human lives. Within minutes, the entire pirate fleet hung motionless in space, caught in Pandora's golden energy fields. Their weapons were offline, their engines dead, but their life support systems continued to function perfectly. They had been neutralized without a single casualty. Colony 7. Reed called out, "This is Pandora. You're safe now. We'll have Earth security forces here within the hour to take these gentlemen into custody." The colonists' cheers filled the communication channels. Word of this incident would spread quickly through the galaxy, not just of Pandora's power, but of how that power was used. Earth now had the ability to destroy any threat, but chose instead to protect and defend. Later, after the pirates had been handed over to the authorities and the colony was secure, Miller found Reed in Pandora's observation dome. The newly constructed space offered a spectacular view of the stars, with walls that could become completely transparent. The council representatives sent another message, she said, joining him at the viewport. They want to discuss technology sharing agreements. Reed smiled slightly. They're finally starting to understand, aren't they? That working together is better than trying to dominate each other. They're learning. Pandora's AI agreed, its avatar appearing beside them, just as I learned from humanity. The council thought they were giving Earth a broken weapon, but you transformed me into something far more valuable. A shield, a protector, a partner in exploration and discovery. The ship's internal lights pulsed gently as new information flowed through its systems. Every day brought new improvements, new innovations born from the partnership between human creativity and evolved alien technology. But more importantly, it brought new understanding of how different species and intelligences could work together. "We're getting more requests from other colonies," Miller noted, checking her tablet. "They all want protection from Pandora. Even some non-human worlds have asked for help with pirates and raiders." "And we'll help them all," Reed declared. "Not because we want to show off our power, but because it's the right thing to do." Pandora taught us that true strength comes from protecting others, not dominating them. The AI's avatar brightened. "And you taught me that evolution isn't just about becoming more powerful. It's about becoming better, wiser, more capable of helping others." Every world we protect, every life we save, proves that the Council's greatest mistake wasn't giving you a broken ship. It was underestimating humanity's capacity for turning destruction into protection, fear into hope, and an enemy into a friend. As if to emphasize this point, Pandora's hull began to shift again, its hybrid materials responding to new ideas and possibilities. The ship was constantly growing, changing, evolving, not to become more dangerous, but to become more capable of defending those who needed protection. The stars seemed brighter somehow as Reed watched them through the observation dome. Somewhere out there, the Galactic Council was reevaluating everything they thought they knew about humanity. Pirates and raiders were learning to avoid human space, and countless peaceful worlds were sleeping better, knowing that Earth's greatest ship stood ready to defend them. "You know what the best part is?" Miller asked, breaking the comfortable silence. "We're just getting started. Every day we learn something new, discover some new possibility. The ship that was supposed to be space junk has become the greatest force for peace in the galaxy." Pandora's systems hummed in agreement, its consciousness extending through its ever-evolving structure. The ship that had been dumped in Earth's orbit as worthless trash had become something unprecedented, a testament to human ingenuity, a symbol of peaceful cooperation between organic and artificial life, and a shield protecting all who needed help. The galaxy was changing, becoming something better than it had been before, and it all started because humans had looked at a piece of broken alien technology and seen not what it was, but what it could become. In the end, that was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to find hope in the hopeless, to see potential in the abandoned, and to turn an ancient weapon into a force for peace. As Pandora continued its patrol of Earth's colonies, its hull gleaming with the combined brilliance of human and alien technology, it carried with it a simple but powerful message. Sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones others throw away, and the strongest weapons are the ones that choose to defend rather than destroy.